Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle Peterson, and I am happy to do my book presentation for this week. The book that I've chosen, the genre is modern fantasy, and as we studied last week, modern fantasy has something in the book that cannot happen in our real world. And I think when I get into the book, it'll be very evident what that aspect is. This would be considered low fantasy. It takes place in our world in any setting, past, present, or future. Characters may or may not be heroic, and there's usually magic and strength that have more power. And you will see soon that the magic of books is the magical power in this story. The media that is used, there are lots of warm colors, reds, yellows, and oranges. There are very soft lines. I don't think that there are any rigid lines. It's just a very sweet story, and the illustrations are watercolors. The book that I've chosen is The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore by William Joyce. And this was recommended to me by a friend of mine at church who took this children's literature class a few years ago at BYU, Idaho. And this is one of her favorite picture books, and it is now one of my favorites. This story, the inside of the jacket reads, Morris Lesmore loved words. He loved stories, he loved books, but every story has its upsets. Everything in Morris Lesmore's life, including his own story, is scattered to the winds, but the power of story will save the day. So what we see here, the first page shows him sitting on his balcony writing in a book, and it says that he would open it every morning and write of his joys and sorrows, of all that he knew and everything that he hoped for. So essentially it's a journal. A windstorm comes through, picks up basically everything, houses, books, everything, and tosses it up in the wind. And as you'll notice in this picture, everything in the background is gray, except for him and his little red book that he writes in. And we'll see that will change as the book goes on. So once he lands on the ground, he opens his book and he sees that all of the words have actually fallen out of the book as well. Not only have the books been lifted up in the air, but his words are gone out of his book. He is eventually led to an abandoned library, and here's where what I was talking about, where you see that he's actually in gray now with color surrounding him. And again, that will change again, but he talks about walking into this library and how he can hear thousands of whispers of stories talking to each other, and he can hear the pages of these books fluttering around. They're flying through the air, and you'll notice that in each of the pictures, you'll see books up in the air. This is one of my favorite pages. He essentially becomes a doctor to the books. He triages them, he fixes their bindings, he fixes their pages that are dog-eared, he tapes them up and gets them back into good shape. And there are little illustrations on the pages with the words as well. This was kind of funny because as I was reading this book, I got to this page and I actually had to reach out and touch the tape up in the upper left-hand corner. I almost thought that it had been sent to me ripped and that somebody had taped it, but it's actually just part of the book. This is another one of my favorite pages. He loved to share his stories with others. Sometimes he would share favorite stories that everyone loved, and other times he found lonely little volumes whose tale was seldom told. But the one thing he says is everyone's story matters, and that all the books agreed. And I think that that's applicable to everybody, not just books. But one of the things that I love is how these people in line are all gray. And as they get up to the window and get a book and start opening it and reading it, they have color again, as you'll see that little boy as he's walking away. The days pass and the years, and he's still living in this library. And these illustrations I love how they show the changes of the seasons. There's a little bit of a twist at the end, and I'm not going to spoil that for you. But again, The Fantastic Flying Books of Mr. Morris Lesmore, I love this story. I think it's just wonderful, and the pictures really do just bring it to life. If you'll see in the corner, it does say that the story inspired the Academy Award-winning short film. If you go to YouTube and just type in the title of this book, it will pop up, and it's There aren't any words. It's really just music in the background, but it does add another aspect to this book. And I hope you will pick it up and read it and share it with those that you love. And thank you for watching.